y'all, it's your girl Kimberly D, and I am back. I've been gone for a minute, but your girl is back. And what a fiery entrance to come back. You know, I've been doing a lot of things. There's been a lot of transition, a lot of movement. But as you can see by the title of this video, the squatting situation and the results of squatting. Man, y'all don't even know. I would say the pandemic played a huge role in resulting in where we are now. I would say the pandemic and inflation, I don't even know if you can call it inflation. I'm gonna just blame it on the pandemic. But on both sides of us, our neighbors were renters, and the owners raised the rent so high that they just could not afford it, which, you know, has happened to a lot of people. And so they vacated the properties, and both sides have been empty for about a good year. And on the east side of us, we have new owners on the east side of us. They actually purchased. They're almost done with their renovations. As you can see in the video, they still have like the big bin out there with all the some of the renovated materials from the home. And that's just the very last one, because they've had several, they filled that bin up several times, and that's just kind of the last round, I guess. And then on the west side of us, that home was still empty. And so we noticed that people would frequent it. And so 2 weeks ago, I took on the challenge to clean out our outdoor shed. And so, you know, I started early in the morning and it took all day. But while I was out there, I noticed people going back and forth through the back alley, back and forth into the home from the back entrance. And I was like, yeah, I don't think they're supposed to be there. And, you know, I let my husband know, and he's like, no, you know, that's not supposed to happen. So he, in his fashion, called the police. And, you know, when he called the police, I felt bad. I'm not even gonna lie. I felt bad, y'all, because I was like, obviously they're homeless. They're not just random people breaking in and stealing things. They're obviously homeless and they don't have anywhere to go. It's hot. You know, and he was like, no, we're not doing that. They should not be there. They don't own it. They shouldn't be there. So he called the police, of course. The police came. It was a big old scene, and they found 2 people in there. They arrested them. And, you know, that was that. 2 weeks later, we're at work because we work from home, and I smell smoke. And I'm like, if anybody knows me, I don't play when it comes to smoke, fire, any of that. So I smelled smoke, and I was like, immediately I got up and I went to investigate. And I, you know, looked around the house really quickly, and I noticed it wasn't coming from inside, it was outside. And I looked in that direction. I don't know what made me look immediately in that direction, but I did. And I saw smoke, billows of smoke, and I freaked out. But in my freaking out, I went into action, kicked into action. Not sure if it was the right thing or not, but it is what it is. I turned the water hose on and I started trying to put out the fire. In my thought process, I thought, if I get the tree, because it looked like the tree was on fire, if I can put the fire out on the tree, then I put the fire out. Because as close as our properties are, I knew if the tree continued to burn, it would burn the house. That house would shoot over and catch our house, and ain't nobody got time for that. And I continued trying to put the fire out. And it seemed like it was working at first, because all of a sudden more smoke came. So it looked like the type of smoke that comes once the fire is out. So I was like, okay, I'm making progress. But as the smoke was coming, it was covering me so much that I could not breathe. I could not breathe. I noticed that I started to feel burning in my lungs, and I was like, okay, that's not good. We have to be smart about this and, you know, not suffer smoke inhalation. So I ran back inside, because I remember we had the 3M mask. Let me get the mask for y'all. Hold on. Mask. Can y'all see it? Yeah, this is this is my husband's, and it's the 3M. And I remembered we had a pack of these, and I was like, okay, let me go get those masks. Thankfully, I knew exactly where they were, because everything has a place and it should be in its place. At least in my world, that's how I feel. So I went and got the mask, I put it on, and I'm telling y'all, that mask, yes, it's the business. It helped a lot. It helped a whole lot. And so picked up the water hose, and I guess when I ran from outside inside, I screamed, the house is on fire. I don't know. You never know what you'll say or do in a panic. So my husband and my son said I screamed, the house is on fire. They immediately run outside and kick into action. My son grabs a water hose. He starts trying to help put it out that way. They called 911. 911 did really good. I mean, they could have been here sooner if I had notified somebody sooner, but they were here less than 5 minutes. So 911, City of Phoenix Fire Department, y'all did y'all thing. Y'all really did y'all thing. And you have continued to do your thing in this whole process. And you know, they came, 3 different trucks came, the police were here, other trucks, just all sorts of people. They blocked the whole street off, and they proceeded to put the fire out, thankfully. And you know, it was a scary moment. It was a scary moment. Thankfully, no one was inside. They didn't find anybody, you know, so that was a good thing. You know, I was a bit perturbed, because I said, okay, however they started the fire, they knew there was a fire. And nobody thought to come and knock on the door and say, hey, there's a fire. They could have said that and took off. I wouldn't have cared. Just let me know what's going on. Don't just leave me to the wolves, you know. So that kind of, that ticked me off a bit. But we spoke with one of the officers, and he was like, yes, I was one of the officers that came out when you reported it 2 weeks ago, and we arrested both of those people, although one's still incarcerated and one's not. So we don't know if he came back or if it was a new set of people, or, you know, whatever. And, you know, the police officer, he's like, don't feel bad about calling, because they have other places that they can go. You know, there's resources, there's other options, you know, and that's not their property. So at the end of the day, they're trespassing, breaking, entering, trespassing. It's all illegal. So he's like, don't feel bad about that. So that kind of helped me a little bit. But at this point, you know, I understand the importance of why my husband reported it in the first place, because these type of things happen. And, you know, I knew this already going in, because the home that we purchased was completely renovated. And we were informed by the previous neighbors that the reason that our home was completely renovated was for the same exact reason. It became vacant, and people broke in, and generally, I'm not, you know, stereotyping, but the people that were homeless were also on drugs, and they smoked drugs, and they caught the property on fire. So nevertheless, it had to be completely renovated. So we were blessed out of that horrific situation. Just like I'm sure the people that purchase the home or rent the home, once it's renovated next door, they'll be blessed out of a horrific situation as well. And the police told us that they contacted the owners and they were investors from California. So they don't really care. They don't come and check on it. Thank God that a few weeks ago, maybe about a month or so ago, they came and they had a company come in and do the landscaping, because the grass, mind you, they have a desert landscape front yard. It's completely rocked. But the grass that had grown, the weeds, whatever you want to call them, were over 3 to 4 feet tall. So, and that's front and back. So imagine if that had still been in place when this fire happened. That just would have been, I don't even want to think about it, because that would have been a really bad sight to see. I'm pretty sure it would have been way worse than it was. But thankfully it didn't catch our home. I had an outdoor umbrella that's right there and it was open. So none of the sparks or embers or anything like that popped onto that. And, we're just grateful. And the investigators spoke with us, took our information, and they let us know if you had not been home, if no one had sprung into action the way that you guys did, your home would have caught. It would have been, it just would have been the process of it. And your home would have caught, and it probably would have went down with that one. And, it's just so sad. It's a sad situation of where we are today. And I know that homelessness is real and it's always been around, but since COVID, it seems like it's just increased. It's increased even that much more. And a lot of people lost homes, which is why the homes are vacant in the first place. And then some of the people who lost homes are on the streets because they didn't have any other options, or maybe they didn't choose any other options. I'm not sure, whichever it is, but they are squatting in these vacant properties. And if you felt like I felt and you don't really want to call on them because they don't really have anywhere else to go, or you feel like they don't have anywhere else to go, call. Call, report it, because if not, you yourself may find yourself in this same situation and you may not come out on top. You may not come out on top the way that we did. We were blessed to be working from home. I say all the time, COVID was horrific. It was devastating. It did so much damage. It lost and took a lot of lives. But there was a lot of good that came out of it as well. There was a lot of good that came out of it as well. I mean, I've always worked from home, so I wasn't one of the people that ended up working from home as a result of it, but a lot of people were. And that helped a lot of people in a lot of different ways. I mean, if you didn't prefer that, then maybe it didn't help you, but for those that enjoy it, I don't know. I just say, if you have an empty property near you, and I'll say this much as well, if you're a homeowner, do your due diligence. Be responsible. If you know your home is vacant, do what you're supposed to do and board it up. That home had not been properly boarded at all. I'm sure they knew that people were squatting in it when they sent out the landscaping company. I'm sure somebody let them know. The police let them know, and they still did nothing. Do your due diligence as a homeowner and secure your property so other people don't become victims of your negligence. Because it's funny that since the fire, the city of Phoenix, they had people come out after the fire was put out, the investigation was complete. They had a company come out, and it was like a restorative company, and they boarded up the back gate because they had knocked a complete panel of the wooden back gate down. They put that up, they boarded that up, they boarded all the windows, all the doors, all the entrances. They boarded those up. They secured the property. Of course, there's a big hole in the roof. The roof caved in. The only thing that was left was the AC unit, and the firefighters actually had to fight the fire from our roof at some point because they said they were afraid that the AC was going to cave in, so they couldn't go in that way, and they really didn't have an option from the other direction as well. So, you know, hey, we still have soot on our roof. You know, we lost a plant because they brought the big hose through the yard, but hey, I'll take it. I can replace that. I can replace that with minimal cost. So I'll take that all day long, you know, outside of having to replace an entire home and everything in it. And thank God not, you know, we're irreplaceable. So, you know, I'll take a couple trees, a couple bushes, not even trees, just a couple bushes. You know, that's no more than a plant stand or a Lowe's or Home Depot run. So I'll take that all day long. But the city of Phoenix has been phenomenal in this process. They had people come, they boarded up the place, and the Phoenix Fire, top notch. They came back that night to make sure that the fire wasn't still brewing, there wasn't hot spots. They came back today, and this is what, two days later, I believe. They came back today. They checked it again. You know, a lot of times things happen, tragic events take place, and we see it on the surface, but we don't know all of the background things that take place following a situation. You know, we see it on the news and it happens, and in our mind it happened, that's horrible, but it's over. But for the people that are affected by it directly, it lingers. It's a process to get back to some sort of normalcy. There's a process in getting things put in place and getting things back to normal, or, you know, whatever the new normal will be. So, you know, I'll just say, do your part. Everyone do your part. If you see something, say something. You know, if you see something, say something. There's people in place to do their part. You know, and who's to say that by, you know, of course, at this point, now that this has happened, they can no longer squat there. You know, that might trigger them and let them know that was a horrific thing. I could have killed myself. I could have killed other people. You know, if they're on drugs, which I'm sure they were, maybe they'll go get some help. You know, maybe they'll check themselves in someplace. Maybe they'll just do something different that'll better themselves and get them out of that situation. I mean, you just never know. But if you have an empty property near you and you see people going in, report it. If you have an empty property and the owners haven't done their due diligence by securing it, report it. I know I don't like being a tattletale, or, you know, whatever you want to call it, but sometimes you have to do what you got to do. There's rules. There's rules. And if we follow those rules, then we'll be okay. At least that's what I like to believe. There's everything done for a reason, and there's reasons that rules are put in place. You know, some of these rules we need to go to legislation and have change. Yes, I do agree with that as well. But if you see something, say something. It could save your life. It will possibly save somebody else's life. So I just want to thank y'all for all the prayers, everyone that called and checked in on us. You know, I really appreciate you all, and keep praying. Keep praying for us, and we'll keep praying for you. See you when I see you. Peace. Okay, y'all, I'm adding the Rainmate. I'm bringing it from inside the house and putting it in the dog shed because it still smells a lot like smoke out here, or in here, outside, but also in their shed as well. So I've added the maximum amount of water up to the line, and I added a little bit of ice in it because it'll also cool it in here as well. And then I put a cap full of peroxide just to help cleanse the air in here and get rid of some of the smoke smell, because it still smells like smoke in here. And I unplugged the Arctic Air evap AC cooler because I just don't like having a lot of things plugged in. I don't like that because ain't nobody trying to have a situation over here. But hopefully I'm gonna give this about an hour. It'll do a large room in an hour or less. So this is only an 8 by, I think this is an 8 by 10 or 8 by 12, 8 by 12 shed. So it shouldn't take too long. So yeah, we're gonna close the door and just give that some time to do its thing, because we don't want them to have to smell that we cleaned our area out. You can kind of see the back of the house. They boarded it up really good, but you can kind of see the back and the side where the fire kind of blew through. But yeah, it kind of started on this side, but yeah, we're gonna give that Rainmate, and it's a vaporizer. It's not a humidifier. I gotta find out exactly what it's called, but it cleanses the air. It purifies the air, and you can put different scents in it. Yeah, you can put different scents in it and kind of do that. So it's really early in the morning. It's about 5 o'clock, 5 a.m. So the sun not too long ago came out. So we're gonna let that do that for about an hour and see what it smells like when it's done. Alrighty, I'll keep you posted.